Hello, friends. My name is Steve, and we're here today to discuss the White Luck Warrior. Of course, what has come before, because that's like a chapter in itself, and then chapters 1 through 3 after that. So, here with Daniel and Katerina. Daniel, will you give us an introduction?
I'm Daniel, and I've read the entire series a couple times. And Steve is onto a completely new part. Katerina is close to caught up to where she's read. So we're just trying to piece together our three different understandings.
Or lack
Yeah,
of, apparently. Yeah.
I think Daniel should do the introductions from now on.
I think so. He's way better at it than I am.
Yeah, and I'm happy I don't have to do it for myself. Hi, I'm Katerina. As Daniel said, I've read this book once before, um, but I haven't read any of the books that come after this one. And my neighbors have been making really strange noises this afternoon, so I hope that won't be an issue for the podcast.
Maybe it'll be entertaining. Maybe it'll be add
Well, it
some.
depends on the kind of noises they'll be making.
I guess so. Maybe it'll fit the theme. Yeah, the It's my first time reading this series, like Daniel was kind enough to mention, because always fail to mention. It's my first time, and in these after kind of looking at my notes from the Judging Eye, I had like a page full of notes from the last section, the last few chapters of the Judging Eye, and for the first 3 chapters of this one, I had maybe like a quarter of a page. It doesn't. I wondered a little bit if I was missing something because it doesn't seem like a ton. I mean, there's something always happens. There's always um, there's always something there, but it doesn't seem like a ton moved forward. Like we didn't really move too far ahead in these 3 chapters in these 100 pages. What did you guys think?
I
Yeah,
think.
go ahead.
Go ahead. You first.
Okay. I felt pretty much the same. Like as you said, things were happening, but it didn't feel like anything substantial happened in the 3 chapters that we read. Well, I mean, we did learn a couple of things, but still, compared to some of the other books, especially compared to the ending of the Judging Eye, it did feel feel pretty slow and uneventful.
Hmm.
And I would say it kind of was slow and eventful for the first 100 pages thus far, but we did get to a couple, I guess, more pivotal points, like the separation of the great ordeal into four armies now, the closing off from the outside. So I think they said the great ordeal has finally begun. Someone says that. So
It's already begun like 3 times.
yeah, that's
You know,
true.
like first you have the preparations, and they set off from 3 cities. Now there's I don't know. There seem to be multiple beginnings to the great ordeal.
The nameless war now has a name.
So was there anything that surprised you in the what came before?
I think there was a couple of differences from. I didn't. I should have gone back and double checked, but there was a. I think there's a couple of differences from what came before and this one versus the end of the Judging Eye, and I did wonder why what has come before is at the end of the book in the Judging Eye. I don't think there is really detailed. Maybe there is before the Judging Eye, but it was pretty close. But I think did mention there was one thing I tabbed that you had mentioned, Katerina, last week that maybe I just missed the first time I read it. But um, when the non-men hunted the Akori to the brink of annihilation, they retired in their underworld mansions to mourn the loss of their wives and daughters, and inevitable extinction. Jesus, can't talk today. Of their glorious race. That I remember you mentioned that because we had talked about the non-men just kind of giving up in the womb plague, and they were mourning the loss of their race because their women, all the women and daughters were gone. So I thought that was that was interesting. I think there's a couple of differences, but it's always good for me anyway, to refresh, because um, every in those 15 pages or so, there's so much that's recapped and revealed. So I always try to take my time through that. In other books, I'm like, I remember what happened, but this one, I'm like, I should probably just read this.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, it helps me to reassure myself that I did at least broadly understood what I was supposed to understand.
Yeah, I think I said before that I appreciate how R. Scott Baker can take his complicated books and just summarize them down in 15 pages so well. And you learn a little bit more, and it has a more historical feel to the writing, whereas maybe we talked about the other books being like scripture. This is like, oh, what does it say? Bringing bronze where there had been flint, cloth where there had been skins, and writing where there had been recital. Great cities rose to teeming life, the wilds gave way to cultivated horizons. It's like talking about how it all started and where all the pieces kind of fit.
Yeah, but I think it was pretty much the same, like verbatim, the same as the what came before we read in the Judging Eye, except for the fact that it also has the summary of the Judging Eye. Like I didn't necessarily notice any differences, but I also didn't read it super carefully.
You monster. Now there was something else at the very end in the recap of the Judging Eye, or the recap from what has come before, that kind of shed some light on Columbus's motivations, that he wants Espinette for himself. So before I wasn't quite sure what his motivations were, but now I think that made it a little clearer on what his motivation was. I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, and I think it also talked about him being more similar to Enrelatus, the was it third son of Callus and Esmanet, the one who's locked up in the room that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and it talked about Telmomus like putting deceit in Essonet towards what's the other
Maithanet.
daughter? The other daughter's
No?
name.
Oh,
Oh, Mymara? No.
or Serba, or
Feli?
Yeah, Theliopa.
oh,
And it didn't really show that in the books, or maybe it only showed it a little bit. It seemed like that had been going on for a long time, but he just tells you that that was happening, and that also with Nathanet, yes. And it more definitely tells you why he assassinated the Yatwer cult leader. Because the more Essenet needs him, the better off he thinks he is, just because of his selfishness for her. So when she's stressed out, she goes to him. So I guess he's going to want to stress her out.
Yeah, isolate her. And I'm beginning to think that Baker really loves armies marching, or groups of people marching, because we have more of the slog in chapter 1. Chapter 1 is almost all about the slog. There was one thing in chapter 1 that I had marked on one of Akamian's dreams. Siswatha mentions that this is not how it happened, or so it seems like they're changing. It's not so much of what happened. It seems like things are changing from what did happen, or different now, that there's something different about them.
Is that the dream where he's in the library and then he turns and he's holding a dead baby?
Yeah. And then it turns into the scroll when it drops, when the seal finally opens, or whatever this crazy door is.
Yeah, page 23. Um, the when the wheels of the gate start tumbling, and Suswatha gasps, "This is not what happened." And the gate wheels are drawing open. The infant dropped from the air. The golden tube clattered where it had fallen. Beyond it, the ponderous bronze machinery of the gate folded into blackness. A gust swept across the antechamber.
Yeah, and then the no god shows up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of behind the library. Um, yeah, I mean it's definitely making me question the veracity of Akamian's dreams. It like is he still dreaming the past, or is this his imagination, or is like I mean could it be that he's I don't know having some visions of the future?
Yeah, it almost seems like the past is changing somehow. Is kind of the way I took it. Like things aren't quite the same as they did happen, or the dreams are changing for some reason. But I might be totally wrong. Don't be afraid to tell me if I'm way off.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. Like, do we know if the No God destroyed the Library of Soglish, or do we like have we not? Because it's I mean it's been destroyed, right? I think we have that information. I think it's safe to assume it was the No God, but then Siswatha probably placed the scroll inside the library before the No God showed up. So maybe just the timeline is getting mixed up a little bit. I don't know. It's definitely suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel has that
Well,
look.
yeah. I guess maybe we'll see.
Maybe.
I was more interested in the crazy gate that had like souls bound to it somehow.
Yeah, the
Being,
souls. Their purpose was to open it, right, or to. Yeah.
It's just I'm curious about the baby. Like that's the part of the dream that makes me wonder if we're not reading about a vision rather than the past. But I don't like. I mean, I should say like at this point, I'm also just like purely speculating. I don't actually know what the meaning of any of this is.
It's kind of nice not being the only one now. We're getting closer to. I'm not the only newbie, so it's kind of nice. I will say, Katerina, I was impressed that you were able to read the first few books with us while you were reading these ones. That must have been a mind bender.
Well, I mean, I pretty much failed at doing that, right? Like I finished this one, and it was a real struggle, and then I finally decided that I was just going to wait for you. But I think I read these first three chapters at least three times in the last 4 or 5 months.
Oh wow!
Because like I think I started reading The White Light Warrior just when we started the read along together, and then that was pretty intense. So I sort of stopped for a while, and then I decided to go back to it and finish the book. But by the time I've already kind of forgotten what happened, so I reread the beginning again, and then I finished the book, and now I'm reading it or rereading it again. So and this is like not one of my favorite second apocalypse books. So you should appreciate the sacrifice I'm making here.
We do. We appreciate it.
I was going to say that right when you started talking about how it was a struggle to read, and now here you are again for the third time.
Yeah, I guess I'm a masochist at heart.
Something. Yeah, I will say that the marches and the slogs and the crusade, the holy wars and the greater deals, and it's it's like a lot. Let's get to where we're going.
That's all I can say to that.
I'm still enjoying it, but it's like, okay, like let's, we've been traveling a long time.
Yeah, and I have to say I do enjoy the Holy War significantly more than the Great Ordeal or the Slog. Like they just do feel more eventful, and well, I guess the like maybe more disorganized. The Holy War is like more disorganized, at least compared to the Great Ordeal. So you got a lot more like politicking and people trying to stab each other in the back and conspiring with one person against another person, and that was a lot more exciting than like the Great Ordeal seems. Not much happens that Callus doesn't know of or doesn't control, as we find out that since he's able to watch people through their um, fires.
Yep, he even says that before he's pretty much known everything, but now he's wandering into the area where he only sees glimpses, so he has to look forward now. No more looking back. What that means for Esnet and the Empire is yet to be determined, I guess. But
And we do get more Kamian and Mimara.
Yeah, I guess we finally learn a little bit more about the judging eye. Um, Even though I'm still not convinced that Akamian is telling her everything that he knows. But I think he does say that it usually it's usually found in women who are pregnant, right? And
then
that basically it's kind of what they talked about before, that she can sort of see the sin in people and whether they're going to be damned after they die.
She, yeah, she does know that, or she's convinced that Kamian is damned.
Well, it seems like everyone she looks at is damned. Like I don't think she's ever looked at a person and did not think they were damned.
that's true so far. And she says she's had it ever since she was a kid, so she doesn't link it with pregnancy at all. But Akamian tells her that it's like the god looking through his realm, since the soul hasn't passed through yet, maybe? I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I understood as well. Like if you're growing a baby inside of you, I guess you're growing a soul as well, or like the soul's kind of coming into the world from the outside, so you have like a stronger connection to the outside and to the god.
A god, or the god. He also does say that the judging eye is like the White Luck Warrior, or like something he called, what did he call it? Kahit? Just
I
kind of
don't know
like
what that is.
old crazy rumors. The White Luck Warrior is some old crazy religious rumor, just like the judging eye.
Well, we know that the judging eye is real, and so is the white luck warrior. So the Kuyu, whatever it is, probably also real.
Maybe. And how does he end that before they get in a battle? He like says, he basically tells her that her life isn't hers anymore. Maybe it's pretty much been predetermined. Don't remember the exact wording, but
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But he also says that everyone who's had the judging eye died.
had
I
a
think.
dead infant, stillborn
Oh, okay.
infant.
Oh, okay. So the baby died. Okay.
They also died because everybody dies,
Well,
except non-men.
Well, they die too sometimes.
That's true.
but I mean, not right away though.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's
usually
true.
by choice.
They just always have stillborn infants. That's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
don't know. It made me think about the time before the first apocalypse, when like all the babies were also stillborn. But I'm not sure it's connected to that. I don't think every woman in that period had a judging eye.
no, I don't think. I think it's a rare thing, like a white luck warrior.
And
It,
we also got another sermon from a cleric, and it seems like everyone's basically just surviving on the kiri, which he's just handing around. I think at the end, Akamian really gave the impression like he really needed a hit, and was really annoyed when the captain wanted to have a chat with him before he was able to get one.
yeah, I wonder how addictive whatever this is, and if maybe it has any effects on his crazy dreams, or maybe if the mop had anything to do with his crazy dreams, because he did have another crazy dream, right, about a slave inside of a hole, I guess, with a chain tied to him and a whole bunch of other slaves pulling something. Seemed like,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was also strange.
and then the tree that they knocked over and the skull that was like at the base of the tree. So not even the strength belonged there. It's the land of the dead. They're both unwelcome guests.
Mhm.
I mean, the strength seemed to be doing fine. I think there's like one paragraph when he's talking about the strength, and he's like, well, it's like the perfect environment for the strength, or it was almost perfect until the men showed up, and then it became perfect, because then they also had people to hunt and um, do things to them.
Yeah, I think that he said that it was easy digging under the trees and there were lots of grubs. And apparently they like eating grubs if they can't eat people. I thought it was interesting the comparison Zaka was making between himself and Kellis, like what they're doing right now. Aka on a small scale, just sending these people to death just for his curiosity, and Kellis sending whole entire nations to death just because of who knows, whether it's to save the world or for something, for some reasons.
Yeah, I think at one point he describes it as chasing smoke, and that he's sacrificing the actual for the possible, which I guess applies to both Kellis and Nakamian. Um, yeah, I thought it was. I also thought it was fitting that he made this comparison between himself and Kellis. But like, yeah, like Kellis is obviously doing it on a much larger scale. But then, if the point of Akami and going after Kellis's origin is that he's somehow doing it to beat him or to defeat him, and then it's, I mean, I guess it's like, does the end justify the means question, right?
Are Kellis's motives better than Akamian's, even though Kellis is obviously a not non-human, something evil?
Yeah, well, I guess that's something we'll have to wait to find out. We
With
we don't
with
seem to be
Sor
getting much insight
with
into
Sorwell.
Kelly.
Sorwell seems like he's going to be the one that really digs in to Kellis. Maybe.
Yeah, or maybe Proyas. I mean, they are kind of close. Although we haven't seen Proyas in a long time, right? Well, I mean, at least like we haven't had his perspective on things. I think we did briefly see him at the beginning of the Judging Eye.
He has a little talk with Kellis.
In chapter 2. Here's a chapter 2.
And we learn that he killed what did they say, 5,000 babies? 5,000 young children? Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. For someone who's always striving for like the moral higher ground, that's a pretty bad result.
Yeah.
So he almost needs Kellis to be right at this point because he's done some pretty terrible things.
He's invested.
I kind of think if Mimara just looked upon the Holy War, it would just be all charcoal skinned, damned people.
I'm genuinely curious if there is anyone in the Three Seas who isn't damned. Like I
Mimara
get this. Yeah.
looks in the mirror. What if Mimara looks in the mirror?
No, that would be interesting. I mean, I get it. Like the skin eaters are probably not. They were probably not very good people even in their previous lives, but there's got to be someone. No.
Maybe that's why they're trying to shut close themselves off from the heavens, because they are all damned.
Well, then I guess we should switch sides and start rooting for the Inkroy and the console.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm thinking if most of the famous earthly religions are true, then we're all probably damned because we've all broke one form of their rules or another. I've eaten steak before.
I mean, isn't regret supposed to save you or redeem you?
Repentance. Yeah.
There was quite a bit about repentance, and when she touches Somandatu and her judging eye opens, and she's never really talked to him, but she sees all of the attempts at redemption. Even coming there and dying up there was an attempt at redemption, but he's still damned.
Yeah, it seems like it's an uphill battle in this world if you want to get into. I mean, I'm curious, like maybe if like at the end we walk into the heaven and we find out there's no one there, is everyone just end up in the bad place?
Or are we in hell now?
That's an idea. I mean, could be. Like, it's not very nice world to be in anyway.
I always try to read Daniel's face to see if we might be onto something, but he's pretty good at. He's a good poker face.
We'll maybe get to know more. We're definitely getting more glimpses into the outside or the non-earthly, but who knows how many glimpses we'll get. It seems like he even said Kellis has been in the outside, that he can somehow go that far. Whether that's where he talks to the no god at, or what is on the outside, but it seems like his knowledge of the I think he said he even saw glimpses of the future from the gods from the outside. So we were wondering what Moangus would do after 20 years in the wild, right? In the first series, and now this is Kellis 20 years later with eyeballs.
With
Who
eyeballs.
who supposedly saw further than his father's thousandfold thought within the span of the Holy War, right? Because when he approached his father, he said that he's seen deeper and he went mad. Or his dad said he went mad. I think even the prologue kind of said, hey,
Yeah.
maybe Kellis went mad.
Yeah, I think it does say that he does go insane. That he went insane. Pretty matter of fact that it wasn't. He did go insane, which I was surprised about. But
Yeah, he comes across as a pretty sane dude. So
I could see R. Scott Baker playing with the word sanity in a lot of different ways. What is sanity? Is Earth hell?
yeah, at this point, I don't know what to believe. It seems like there a lot of things could be possible, or that he's just maybe using certain words to mislead us.
It almost seemed like Inkorai the non-man, when he was giving his sermon, said that revelation could maybe change things. Maybe an act could cause revelation, which could change something, right? Wasn't that what his last sermon right before they got into battle was?
Yeah, I think it was something about like little things, that little things don't matter. Like it's the big stuff. It's hits the history that actually makes an impact on the world. And it kind of like, if you think that you as a little human make any difference, you don't.
insignificant.
So could Kellis go from damned to not damned if he did a gesture great enough to the god or the gods? It's a big thing for faith.
I mean, and that's kind of my question. Like, who decides who gets damned and who gets saved? Like, is it the gods? Is it the god? Is it written somewhere? Like, it doesn't help that there are like multiple religions at war with each other, um, and each of them has like a different interpretation of like what is true, and what the rules are. Um, I mean, that's my very long answer to your question, which basically can be summed up to I have no idea.
Sounded a lot like our so many different religions. Who's the right one? Why do they hate each other? Oh yeah, and Kellis tells Proyas that he will know terror again. That was interesting because Proyas said he hadn't felt terror in a long, long time. Ever since then, Annis Rimber took over, so 20 years. Even when he was killing 5,000 little kids, no terror. But he's going to know terror soon.
The worst is yet to come.
I mean, I like Proteus is like, there's a part of me that feels bad for him, but there's the bigger part of me that just finds him infuriating. Like he's so blinded. Like he's so um I don't know. He's so religious. um
It's true, he doesn't have room to do what a Kamian does and always question everything. It's the opposite of what he turned into. Unquestioning.
Yeah, but it's almost like you get the sense that maybe like he is the kind of person who would like naturally question things, but he's kind of made it this task for himself, like a challenge for himself, not to question things and just to believe blindly. Like it's not that he's stupid, I think, or that he's so narrow-minded. He's like he's convinced himself that he's going to be this way.
I can't think offhand, but why like a Kamian stopped teaching him. It was something to do with he finally became super pious because someone died. I don't remember the exact story. But then he like shunned the Kamian because he decided he chose. And then it seemed like he still chose. He's always chose the Shriel Knights until Kellis took him over. And now he just chooses Kellis.
So that's a common thread. People choose Kellis.
We didn't get a chapter about him, but we got Sabon. Now we got Sabon's older brother around. That should be cool, right?
Yeah, isn't there like 7 of them
Yeah,
or
there
something?
probably is. Sabon's older brother's just in charge of a party.
I mean, I think that's isn't that the whole reason why Saban was so obsessed with like becoming the king of Coruscant, because because he wasn't the firstborn son, so he knew he had no chance of succeeding his father. Um, I guess just like being a younger sibling really like got him really worked up and like kind of messed him up.
Now he's an exalt general, and his older brother's just some little guy under someone else's command.
Yeah, I guess it must feel good.
There was a quote on page 57 that I had. I'm not sure if you guys had this one too, but um, it is strange the way trauma deadens curiosity. To suffer cruelty in excess is to be delivered from care. The human heart sets aside its questions when the future is too capricious. This is the irony of tribulation. To know the world will never be so bad.
Poor Mimara.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that quote. It's I guess if you go through a lot, you just thinks you get a different perspective. Like things most things probably won't be as bad as what you already experienced.
Mhm.
And I guess it does make you kind of lethargic and apathetic towards the world, towards other people. So you kind of have to admire Maimara that she just keeps going, even after everything she's gone through already.
Teach me.
She even is reflecting on that as she's like running away. She thinks about how she's just kind of been running away all her life, and then once those what were they, the stone hags come through, she's like, oh yeah, I wasn't really running away. This is running away. Running from actual death is running away.
Yeah, talk about just despicable people. You
The
know, like
new skin eaters. Those are skin eaters now.
yes, I mean officially, I guess they are. Let's see how long they last. They seem in a pretty bad shape when they ran into each other.
Mhm.
forgot the name of the leader, but it talked about him stepping off the ledge and then turning around and like shooting some fireballs and then losing his footing.
Yeah, because we walk the echoes of the ground. So if there's a depression, you're gonna fall.
And then you see him later, and said his shin bone was like, I forgot how it described it. One leg was like multiple inches shorter.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was creepy.
that wasn't pretty. And we also find out that Soma. I always get them mixed up. Is there Suda and Soma? I think. So I
I
think
think there
it's
is.
Soma. Soma is the skin spy.
Somendatu, I think his real full name was.
That's too many syllables.
But Soma, yeah. And then Sutadra, who died.
Yeah, he's the one who got shot through the throat. But yeah, I guess that so Soma being a skin spy, I guess, explains why he was not really affected by the journey through Killages. He's the only one who seems kind of fine, whereas everyone else just not the same as they were.
When Mimara seen him through the judging eye, it was no man.
But the question is, why did he save Mimara?
That is true.
He put himself at risk to be exposed. He exposed himself to save her.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if that's part of his mission, or if he actually has any like feelings or any affection for her. But then, I mean, he's not really supposed to, because the skin spies don't have a soul, right? So it seems more likely that he was sent there maybe to protect Mimera. But then why would the consult care about Mimara?
Or maybe he is one of the ones with the soul, right? Because we know that there's a few of them.
I mean, it could be. Like, we know it's possible, but I think most skin spies don't have a soul, or at least that's the default.
Yeah.
They only want to please the architect, the creepy bird.
Yeah, but I mean, he did fail to, like, he did run away in Killages when they were all running through the tunnel. Like, he didn't wait for Mimara to save her there. So I don't know. Like, is this actually what the consult has tasked him with, or was that his decision?
Did he know then that Mimara had the judging eye when he ran, or was it after it was known?
I don't think anyone knows apart from Akamian. I think he's the only one. I mean, at least I don't remember her telling anyone else about it. But I may be wrong.
At this point, I would have to guess more that he's the consult's spy on Akamian. Maybe.
So maybe he's after the coffers. He's after the map too.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the console certainly has some skin in the game. Nice. I mean, well, I mean, their mission is also to defeat Callus, so it might make sense they would want to maybe, somehow, if not get together with Akami and maybe use him to defeat Callus, or to at least put some obstacles in his way.
Mhm.
But then, I mean, it's kind of strange to imagine um, mandate schoolmen working together with the consult. Or, I mean, former mandate schoolmen, but still.
This is Baker's world. Even the Phantom and the Enrithi traded. Remember? People forget their past aggressions, except for Akemi, and he dreams them every night. So
You can't forget.
Yeah. But the console definitely is a player on the Benjuka plate.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that.
You think we'll ever see a board game called Benjuka? That would be kind of fun.
if
I mean,
this,
maybe you can copyright it.
if this series became Game of Thrones, then maybe, but that's a very small percentage chance.
Yeah. This would be hard to adapt. Well, you could, but it'd have to be toned down quite a bit.
Yeah, that's also my concern. Like you could definitely adapt it if you wanted to, but I'm not sure what the response would be.
Yeah. It wouldn't be as accessible or as many people. I don't know if as many people would try it because of the subject matter. But
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely get talked about, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure anyone would actually dare to put that type of content on their platform. But who knows? I mean, there are certainly ways to adapt it, I think.
mhm. There was another quote I had, which was on page 92. Of exhaustion, many modalities, perhaps none is so onerous as apathy, the loss of sense and desire, where you wish only to cease wishing, where mere breathing becomes the kind of thoughtful toil.
There's another quote that I liked. That's something that Maimara says when she talks to Soma, um, and she calls him a fool, and then she says something like, "That's the thing about fools. The world is quick and they are slow."
Yeah,
I really like that one.
that was a good one. I can relate to that one.
There's a part about when they come across the tree and they say that they were the ones who like knocked the tree down. I think it was a Camian that was just thinking about the difference between burying bodies like the old way with a tree and then burning bodies, and how if you bury a body and you sit there and talk to it, you're like talking to a demon, according to the Inrithi religion. Thought that was interesting.
Right, and I think as Manette, when Sammy died, they burned the body, right? The thing she put the ashes, like she kind of paint the she used the ashes to like paint something on her face.
Mhm.
So I guess they don't follow that tradition in the in Momem.
And same with in the Game of Thrones, the dragons like burn the bodies or they burn them on pyres. In our world, Vikings, they would send them out on a ship and light the ship on fire.
Yeah, I mean, you can also get cremated today.
Yeah. Not as dramatic, but yeah, good.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, I guess, sterilized, but
You can get frozen for later today.
that's
Yeah,
more
yeah.
expensive, I imagine.
That's true.
A Viking funeral. That'd be kind of nice. A Viking funeral.
Yeah,
Cool.
would be pretty cool.
You gotta be by the beach, which makes it instantly nicer than all the funerals I've been to.
I mean, they have some like interesting cemeteries these days. Like you can get your ashes dispersed in like a forest or a meadow. It's pretty nice.
Can bury them with a tree.
Yeah.
A writer I really like, Hunter S. Thompson, he got shot out of a giant cannon and then exploded in fireworks over his property.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
something. That's pretty good.
It was pretty elaborate. Wasn't going to happen, but then I think Johnny Depp paid for it in the end.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't thought of that. I was more thinking about like a nice birch grove, something like that.
In this, it said the trees take the shapes of the soul, and it was describing them off.
Yeah, there was something about the dream that Akamian had where it seemed like the trees were talking to him or he was trying to talk to the trees, but then I wasn't sure if that was just him and like it was I wasn't sure if that was actually true or if the dream that he was having was not related to the trees at all. Like that it got pretty confusing. Um
Whether it's Seswatha dream or whether it's
Yeah, I think maybe like it could be like a memory of one of the trees, like or like one of the people who were buried inside the trees.
which is kind of why he thinks it's a topoi or whatever, a place where the outside reaches the surface.
Yeah, and it seemed like he was dreaming about being inside the ark, so it would maybe make sense if it was someone from the time of the first apocalypse or even before that. I don't know, who'd like been enslaved by the consult. Um, But I'm still thinking maybe the dream, maybe he's starting to dream about the future. Like, I think that still might be a possibility.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Kellis is looking towards the future, so he may not be the only one.
Yeah,
Who
the
knows?
thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Who knows how much the outside is playing with any of these people at this point? How the judging eye ended up with Acadian, who's the only one speaking out against Kellis. How the White Luck Warrior came about. How Kellis met Nair on his dad's grave.
Yeah, it's a lot of coincidences.
That I think what Acadian told Essenet was your life has already been lived for the god or the gods. That's what he says. So how much the past or the gods determine what comes next. And maybe if Kellis can see it, since he's so good at predicting people's moves, if that like makes an appearance when he looks at people's faces, like the skin spice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but then wouldn't that imply that the gods can also, like, they've also like predetermined Callus's life, or is he somehow beyond that,
I don't know.
or he's
It seems like all of these, the judging eye and the white luck warrior, are counter reactions to Kellis at this point, right? Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah. It seems like he's beyond their control. But I mean, but if they could see what happened in the future, then it's not really out of their control because that like well, it's I don't know. I'm getting into a loop that's
Can you even change the future?
I mean, if
Or is
it's
it fate?
predetermined, then I guess you can. But
Why was the old Anusuriumber so intent on Ishul? And he had a dream of the future that the Anusuriumber would come back, right?
yeah, it's the prophecy.
So who knows exactly how time works at this point? I guess only that we're still marching through the physical world.
Yeah, I wish maybe we had less of that.
Yeah, lots of marching.
And
People
there's
have to get places, though. I guess
yeah, but it's a book. You could just say, "Oh, they walked for a month and now they're here."
that's true. I guess you could do that.
I mean, I still
But
like this book, but maybe skip some of the walking.
Lots of slogs.
well,
Yeah.
Acamian isn't even at the library yet, and that's not even close to Ishul. So I'd say
No,
there's still
he's but it barely left his house.
they got sidetracked.
Yeah, you could say that.
Side quest through a mountain.
Yeah, it did feel like a bit of a side quest. I mean, it's I loved like I really like the Killages part, but it does feel like a side quest, very much.
I think when the Skin Eaters came out of it, things were different for them, though. I think even some of them dared question the captain. I forgot what group. I think it's Galleon and Paquus and Azongus. And
Yeah, I
then
think
Soma and Sutadra started hanging out. Sarl just sits somewhere and talks crazy. I don't I don't remember the name of the weeper that stops weeping.
no one does. They're already forgotten. But they also sort of make Maimara one of the pack. Like
Mhm.
she talks about how she feels accepted now. Like they don't look at her as a piece of meat anymore. She's one of them. Just pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of sad that it took going through hell for them to accept her, like to think of her as like an equal like person. But I'm so glad we're there.
They all changed and she changed with them. So whatever these new Skin Eaters are, that's what they are. The 15 or 20 that are still around. And the new Stone Hags.
And then I do get a red, like they seem like red shirts. They don't seem like they'll last very long. I think Katerina, you mentioned that. Like, you see how long they last. I don't know if they're. It seems like they're just kind of cannon fodder.
Yeah, I think there were like two of them die like on the first day or something. Just from the walking. So
Oh, and then
I
one
think
in
their
the water.
expiry date is pretty short.
For some reason, Sorrow reminds me of what's his name from Lord of the Rings? Golem. He's kind of got a Golem vibe to me now. He went completely crazy down under a mountain. He, he got cut by like his favorite person ever. And now he's just a weeper. And now he just repeats the same couple catchphrases. He's broken.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fitting.
He's a weeper.
I don't know what his precious is, but the coffers, I guess. Whatever's at the coffers.
Yeah, and the captain seems like he's aware of the other skin eaters kind of losing their respect for him, I guess.
Mhm.
So so I guess that's the reason why he killed the Galliath, uh, the ones whose name we don't remember. 'Cause, I mean, he was like like it seemed like a lot of the rules that they said that they followed, they didn't really follow them when they went through Kalajas. Like I think there were a lot of weepers in the halls of Kalajas, and they did bring with them to the ground a lot of like injured people, and they didn't leave anyone behind. Well, almost anyone. Maybe they would have left a comment behind, but they didn't in the end. Um, so I don't think he didn't seem to care too much for the rules at the time, but now that people are starting to turn against him, I guess he's trying to get control back and get their respect for him. Or maybe it's not even respect; it's just pure terror that he brings out in people, right?
I did like that the dynamic changed after when they survived. I do like that everyone seems a little damaged by what happened because they would be, but I'm glad it's not just glossed over. But
Except Soma. Soma was mostly normal.
yeah, well, he has a superpower.
Yeah, but my mother gave him a really hard time for leaving her there with the commie in the mines.
Mhm.
He redeemed himself.
And
Why?
then she exposed him to a commune. So.
Seemed like she was going to tell Kamiya not to do anything, but he was finally actually seen his enemy for once and just wanted to kill something and couldn't do it.
Yeah, I guess it's like a reflex for a commune. Like sees a skin spy. It's the only one thing he can do.
And what did Sarl say? You break the rules, the captain kills you. You touch the peach. These are the rules. I think the captain said, "This is the slog of slog, and I'm the rule of rules." Too. After he walked off the next day, and everyone was all quiet because they watched someone get murdered and didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, they seem to throw a lot of superlatives around.
That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
They're quite uncivilized.
Well, we haven't talked about Sorwheel so far.
Yeah,
If you even remember he was there.
yeah. He I don't know. It seems he was pretty disinteresting so far in this was it chapter 2?
Yeah, I think it's the beginning of chapter 2.
He's kind of been outcast from the others because he's a believer king now.
Yes, Toronga's definitely treating him like he's giving him the cold shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is understandable. Um, but we also, well, I guess they all kind of suspect of Sor. Like if they tell Sorwheel too much, he'll go and tell the Aspect Emperor. But we also know that the Aspect Emperor is spying on them from their hearths. So
There's nowhere to hide.
yeah, there's nowhere to hide. I was just wondering if it's a wise thing to put all your enemies' sons together in one place? Like, wouldn't it be safer to just keep them apart so they can't get to know each other and start conspiring against you?
I don't know if he's. I don't. Is Kellis worried about them conspiring against him, or is he? Would he know before they could do anything significant of significance?
I mean, probably, but he doesn't know that Sorwheel is not a believer.
Or does he?
He had
Well,
fires, didn't he?
yeah, I guess Sorwheel also has a. I mean, I guess there's also there's a fire in every tent, right? Or in front of every tent. I don't know if you make a fire inside the tent. Probably not. I don't know.
I guess the tent's big enough if it's high enough and big enough so you don't inhale
TP
smoke.
style.
Yeah,
It's got a hole at the top.
yeah, could be.
I guess that works.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like Kellis just installed like CCTV cameras in every tent, like in everyone's home, and he's watching everyone.
He's
Yep.
Big Brother, Big
Big
Brother
Brother is
Kellis.
watching you.
Yeah,
Well, I don't
You're
have a fireplace.
you're okay then.
Stove. Don't turn on your stove either.
I have an electric stove.
He can come through the wires or the gas lines, like Santa Claus.
He's watching.
He was already so powerful during the First Holy War. Now he sees through fires and can jump all the way back to Essenet and back.
Can teleport.
Who knows
Yeah,
what
but
else he can do?
that was pretty surprising to me when he said that he was cutting all communications with Momim. Like that he when he like it's not just that he's prohibited anyone else from contacting everyone back home, but it seems like he also himself decided not to go back and forth between Momim. Like it seems like he's staying with the Great Ordeal for the moment,
Yeah,
which I thought it was interesting.
he said that he's seen the future perfectly, but now he only sees glimpses, and he has to not look back and only focus forward. And he also did it based on a lie, right? To say they scry our scrying, meaning they can read our communications, because maybe they can. Who knows? But Proyas knows it was a lie.
Yeah, and he doesn't care.
He drank the Kool-Aid.
What does he tell him? He tells Proyas, do not think you sin. The world overmatches us. Nothing is more complicated than virtue and sin. All the atrocities you have committed in my name have their place. So, Kellis appears to know he's asking people to commit atrocities. But maybe there's a greater good. Maybe the greater good is the one God and all the other gods are just good. If that makes sense.
It's a big gamble though, if you're not as far seeing as Callus. But I think that's something that Proas talks about. Like when he says that, what does he say? Something like belief is acting without understanding. Something like that, something along those lines.
Yeah. And then Kellis tells him he still needs someone to toss the number sticks with him because it's not good. He doesn't want to do it alone. And whether that was a lesson to Proyas or not, who knows? Kellis is always working an angle, though. We know that from the first series. We're just less privy to the angles he's working. Or maybe why he told Proteus he can finally see in fire, and he pushed his face into it.
Oh,
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
It talked about how other people had tried it and just went blind and died, just because that's in the scripture.
Didn't they do that in the second book? Didn't they bow into fire?
I don't know. I don't remember.
They talked about it being an old ritual from the
Oh.
first Holy War, but don't remember exactly what happened.
I don't remember people with burned heads walking around, but maybe they were just in the background. But I mean, you can tell that Kells has really worked on prowess. When he's, I mean, he's thinking something, and then he's like regretting thinking that, and then he's like, oh, like Kells doesn't even need to like tell me anymore. Like I already know that what I'm thinking is bad, and I'm like, it's insane. It's like he's punishing him. Like he says like he hasn't trained like a dog. Like it's like he trained him to like punish himself for just thinking the wrong thing. It's crazy.
And now even when Kellis is showing a little bit of doubt or uncertainty, he doesn't care. Still whatever Kellis wants. I wonder if Sabon feels the same way.
I think in that respect, I think Saba may be a little bit more pragmatic.
Oh no.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that.
I don't know. It's been a while since I saw Sabon, so who knows? Maybe he's an upright, pious general king now. What do I know? But yeah, you really get the sense that not Callus, Proyas is like given basically everything. Like he talks about like his children not really knowing him at all.
Little Zenimus?
Yeah. Little Zen.
Yeah, he talked about how if these people knew their families were in trouble, they would go home because family is more important than the God that they can't see. But not to Proteus, because Proteus walks with the God. He does whatever the God wants, so his home is wherever Kellis is. Screw his kids.
Yeah, I think it seemed like Proes overestimates other people's faith in Callus. But I think one of the funniest moments for me in that chapter was actually with Sorwheel when he's getting ready to ride off with the Scions, and his slave, he like basically just telling him like, oh, you will come back exalted, and he's like, I will do my best, and he's like, no, not you, she will do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no one seems to have a lot of faith in Sorwheel and his abilities. Unfortunately, he's a good kid.
He's in a bad spot. He's difficult position.
He might be the only white light in this sea of darkness to know Mara. Now that you say that, he bullied a kid, but he's still young enough that he probably didn't do very many horrible things yet.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I wonder if she looked at a baby. you know, if that
Well,
baby.
it did say like all snakes were saved and all rabbits were evil. So maybe the human's just another species that's all good or all bad.
So the inquiry are right. I think
We
that's
need a
what we
t-shirt.
established today.
Yeah, the inquirer was right.
They might be right. We might need to close the outside.
Yes, it's unfortunate that in order to do that, they need to kill most people on the planet. But like it makes me wonder, like if you kill someone and then you close the outside, then what happens to the people who've already died before you closed it? Like, do they just stay out there?
Maybe they're already dead.
Well, I guess so. But are they just gonna stay in hell, and then, well,
They're going to make it to the outside, up or down, I guess. Sideways.
Sideways.
I don't think it's mentioned how many people or exactly what the requirement is to close the outside at this point. The console
yeah,
just wants to close the outside, but what are the requirements or how does it happen? Who knows?
Starting to
Maybe
get a
we
feel.
get to know.
Starting to get the
Feeling
feeling the consult are the protagonist.
I mean they've also killed a lot of people.
they
Yeah.
made strength, right? I guess not quite them directly, but they brought the No God back to kill a bunch of humans, seemingly indiscriminately.
Maybe there isn't a good guy. Maybe that's the twist.
It's probably more likely. Yeah.
All gods war against each other. They describe Yatwer a lot of times as like in bad words. I've noticed, like I think they called her atrocious, the atrocious Yatwer once or something. Just the words they've used to describe the god of fertility and birth and growth has been kind of negative a couple times. It all depends on who's doing the referring, I guess.
Yeah, I think Sorwheel was kind of pissed that she chose him because she's the goddess of like slaves or like
The weak,
the weak, the cast menials, and he's a king.
he's a slave. Also, Kellis
Yeah.
is current slave
The hostage.
who has slaves.
Well, I guess he doesn't want to think about that.
And then we had a watering hole scuffle, and I think 60 people died in the Great Ordeal finally. Some of the first deaths.
A waterhole scuffle.
Yeah, because the water's getting sparse, and that's why they're deciding to spread out.
Yeah, and the weather's also not helping them because it's unusually hot for the time of the year, so a lot of the games migrated somewhere else. So they're probably going to have some issues feeding the army. It's not looking good.
Usually doesn't.
Now that they've stopped looking back, it's about the point of no return.
Anyone else having some deja vu?
Yeah, it's interesting comparing that first holy war to whatever this is, because that was a holy war, but it was just people fighting people who are now all in a big group going to fight what did they call it? The unnamed war, the Forgotten War,
Forgotten War.
which I guess the real Holy War. It's like a war between actual good and evil, maybe.
Is the
Where,
appetizer.
whereas the first Holy War was just humans that disagreed with each other. Now they're fighting Srank and Basharags and Stranger Things.
Lots of things.
Creations. Random creations from something that fell through an arc.
Yeah, I imagine there'll be some surprises on the way. I mean, the consoles had what 2,000 years to come up with new inventions.
They're
Yeah.
prepared.
They must have something up their sleeve.
I think Tellus told Proyas it would scare him if he knew how little he knew about the enemy. So even Tellus is a little bit in the dark as to what they're coming into. But he's still seen glimpses.
I mean, it's kind of difficult to assess how much Callus actually knows. It's like we know that he's lying most of the time, so it's really hard to spot when he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yep, and Sorville's gonna have to struggle with that, I guess. I mean, they're going to kill Strank and stop Golgotha, which, according to the scriptures, is all the things a saint would do, all the things that their god would want. But what are his motives? And we still don't even know that.
No.
We just know that he's super smart and psychopathic and kind of crazy.
You see through fires.
Too powerful now.
Not the best dad.
He doesn't have the best track record.
Yeah. Proyas' kids are lucky in that context.
Are they?
They didn't lose the dad lottery, but they didn't win it either. So.
I don't know. I would never want to have a touch of Dunedin. I would want all or nothing.
We always
But
find
yeah,
something to talk about.
yeah. I hope we get to spend some time with Esmenet next time, because I'm curious what's happening in 3Cs.
So the next, so we're on page 96, chapter 4. Did you want to go from 4 through 6? So stop at 7. That'll be about 100 pages or 97 pages.
I think that's reasonable. It's
We can
the
do 2
next 3
chapters.
chapters, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Sounds
We
good
can
to
do
me.
less too. Or we can do less if those chapters are dense. We can do less.
No, I mean, as I said, this book is too long for how little happens in it, in my opinion, at least.
Well, we still managed to talk for an hour and a half. So.
Yeah, we always manage. So 4 through 7 next week.
6, right? Or did you say what did we say? 7?
I'm sorry. Yes, sorry.
4 to 7. 4 through 6.
4 through yeah. Right. Yeah, I always get confused. I always get myself confused because I'm not very smart. So, yes, the next 3 chapters about that.
I had to ask this morning how far we were reading to.
You know how many times I typed that out when I was answering your question? I was like, 4. I said 1 through 4. I thought, no, that's not right, because then you'll think I'm saying through 4, not up until 4.
Oh, the same thing we're talking about now, huh?
Yeah.
Just in text form.
Yeah. Just trying to figure it out. Cool. Yeah. Hopefully, I want to say I hope things pick up, but it doesn't sound like they really do.
I think there are some more exciting things coming along, but we might have to wait for them for a little while.
So not next week.
Probably not. I don't remember what happens in which chapter, so we'll see. You'll have to read and find out.
We'll have to find out. Well, cool, everyone. So, Daniel, do you want to tell everyone how they can't get a hold of you?
In the comment section of these videos or on page chewing.
Yes, tell us how wrong we are in the comments below or on page sharing. And Katerina, where can people find you?
Also on the page chewing. I might not reply to her comments, but I'm there. And I'm also on Instagram at the Errand, if you want to find me.
Cool. So, next 3 chapters next week, and then we are, just a heads up, we are taking a break in February for a few weeks, but we'll let everyone know ahead of time before that happens. But a few people have told me they're reading along with us. That's pretty exciting.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah, pretty good stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I appreciate Frank's comments too. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. He's and there's a couple other people, like Brian's reading. He's reading the Darkness right now, and he has some interesting feedback.
Okay,
He said
I have to go back and read it. I've been a bit absent lately, but I'll try to get back into it.
Yeah, so it's exciting. It's neat, sharing the experience. Cool. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll see you all next week for more fun.